Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Parallel 3 of the 8th International Language and Language Teaching Conference in Room 6. My name is Angie, a 5th semester student of English Language Education Study Program, Sanata Dharma University, as today's moderator in this room. I will be in charge of this parallel session. Before we begin, please let me read the rules. First, each presentation will last for 15 minutes. Second, in this parallel session, there will be 3 presentations delivered in a row. Third, I will remind via the raise hand icon if you have 5 minutes left, and then I also send the notification in the chat box if you have 2 minutes left. Fourth, we will have Q&A session after all presentations have been delivered. Fifth, other rules can be found in the program book. I will also inform you that you may write down your questions on the chat box when the presenters start presenting with the format name, underscore affiliation, underscore to whom the question is addressed to, and then the question. Later, at the end of all presentations, we will have the Q&A session. There are 3 presentations in this room by Miss Miza Rahmatika Aini, Miss Gabriela Cynthia Kusuma Dewi, Miss KM Widi Hadianti, and Miss Linda Apriani. First, let me ask, is Miss Miza already here? Miss Miza? I think not yet. So, it seems that the first presenter are not here yet, so we will just start with the second presenter, Miss Widi and Miss Gabriela. Sorry for the inconvenience, but I think we will start with the second presentation.
Okay. It's okay, dear Angie.
Okay, thank you, Miss. Without any further ado, let's start with the second presentation entitled Investigating Extensive Reading Effects to the EYL's Online Learning Vocabulary Knowledge. It will be delivered by Miss Gabriela Cynthia Kusuma Dewi and Miss KM Widi Hadianti from Atmajaya Catholic University. Miss Gabriela and Miss Widi, you have 15 minutes. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Angie. Okay. Good morning, fellow educators and students. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Gabriela Cynthia Kusuma Dewi. I'm from Atmajaya Catholic University of Indonesia. And today, Ibu Widi and I will discuss more about our collaborative research on investigating extensive reading effects to the EYL's online learning vocabulary knowledge. Okay, first, the subtopics. We will discuss about the background, and second, the literature review, third, the methodology, fourth, findings and discussions, and last but not least, conclusions and suggestions. Okay, for the background, the circumstances of COVID-19 pandemic have made a massive shift in online learning methods. And with that being said, extensive reading builds vocabulary and expands it further through exposures to a large variety of words. And according to Shen, 2015, she said that it is very important for the teacher to provide suitable reading materials for EYL according to their levels and skills to help them learn new words effectively. And in this research, we are going to find out about the effects of extensive reading, whether it is effective or not on improving students' vocabulary knowledge, and second, to find out its significance. And then last but not least, students' attitude towards the use of ER itself on their vocabulary knowledge. Okay, next will be continued by Ibu Widi.
Okay, thank you, Miss Gabriela and also Miss Angie. We are going to discuss the literature review. First of all, talking about vocabulary learning, because it is one of the important points in our research. According to Pak Willy and Pak Richards here, vocabulary is very important, especially for young learners, because it is a key component to improve the students' language proficiency as well as language skills. While Alice continue that extensive reading is one of the easiest ways to improve the students' vocabulary knowledge. Extensive reading is also one of our concerns, of course, it is a kind of pleasure learning. And yes, it is very crucial that the students can get the general idea as well as pleasure, yeah, like what Pak Willy and Pu Lammers told us, that it is important to help students to develop their literacy competencies. So that's why we also include extensive reading in our research. Continuing with the situation of nowadays, it is online learning, that especially for vocabulary teaching, it helps students to get experience in learning the vocabulary, and it also raises the students' recognition of learning strategies in general. We continue with exploring the young learners' attitudes, yeah, that it is important to know that extensive reading is very potential for the students to improve their attitudes, or to show that it increases the students' attitude toward reading. Now we are going to continue with the methodology. Ms. Avril.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Widi. For the methods, we use mixed methods in this research, quantitative and qualitative. And the participants are 32 year 5 students from a private elementary school here in Jakarta, Indonesia. They are around the age 9 to 11 years old. The instruments are vocabulary knowledge pretest and post-test, as well as a questionnaire of students' attitudes towards the use of VR, and it consists of 13 closed-ended questions and also 2 open-ended questions. And the durations of the research is 4 weeks. And the procedure starts with presentations to elicit the benefits of extensive reading to students. And then we ask the students to take a vocabulary knowledge pretest on Google Forms in the durations of 18 minutes. And then we provided graded readers which are available on Google Drive. The first book is Phantom Airman by Alan Freeman Jones. And the second one is The Secret Garden. Yes, those are. And then for the findings and discussions, the vocabulary knowledge pretest and post-test, as you can see on table 4.1, the implications of the correlation support for concluding that the data are reliable and appropriate to become the basis of further investigations. As you can see, it has positive correlations with each other. And also, next will be continued by Ibu Widi.
Okay, thank you, Avril. As for the pretest mean score, the result was 71.4. That is the mean score. And the mean score of the post-test is 47.7. While the minimum score to pass for the subject, English subject at school was 75. There was actually increase from 71 to 76, even though it is a very low increase, improvement. Yes, the next is that by calculating in the SPSS, we found that actually the improvement was insignificant in terms of the statistical counting. Here, they only have, the students, the young learners only gain a very small amount of improvement. Yes, the findings also shows us that the related to the questionnaire, sorry, Abril, can you continue? I have to.
Okay, yes. Thank you, Ibu Widi, for the questionnaire. As you can see on table 4.5, it shows that EYL's attitude towards the use of extensive reading. It has a total score of 1148, with the ideal score based on Sugiono 2012 interval score of interpretations was its count. The results show that students had a favorable experience towards ER itself. Yes, and also for this table 4.6, the percentage of students' responses, we divided into two sections, agree and disagree. And also the results showed that 67.2% out of 100% young learners agreed with the statements. And we can conclude that we find out that they are all positive attitudes towards the use of ER. And also, as you can see on the count of reading time per day, a small percentage of students claim that they spend 4 to 5 hours to read every single day. And also around 15.6% spend less than 30 minutes to read per day. Yes. And for the open-ended questions, we found out that 59.4% of students like extensive reading activity because it helped them learn many unfamiliar words. Okay, next, next, Ibu Widi, findings and discussions.
Okay, sorry for the inconvenience. I'll continue with what I said. Yes. According to Day and Bramford, that students need to read as much books as possible. Yeah, but perhaps that is why the students did not get much vocabulary knowledge because they didn't read as what we expected. And yes, there is another possible reason that the students did not do very well, sorry, because of it was done synchronously, yeah, because it what I said, the students were in a very limited time for the interaction with other students, peers, and also the teacher. About the learning readiness, the students also got insignificant scores differences between pretest and post-test because perhaps they were not satisfied with. Sorry, Abril, I cannot read that. It's very
yeah. Okay, because learning readiness and learning performance and learning satisfactions were some of the crucial things that teacher could not really monitor during online learning, and that could be one of the feasible reasons why the score were insignificant.
Okay, thank you very much, Abril. I will continue with the conclusion. In this study, we found that extensive reading was not effective in improving the students' vocabulary knowledge. Like what we had discussed before, the possible explanation was perhaps the learners' lack of interactions with their peers and also with the teachers. It might affect their performance. And to answer the second research question, it was found that the ER activity was insignificant statistically to increase the students' vocabulary knowledge because it was only done during 4 weeks treatment. Yeah, it perhaps can be longer than that. Later we will discuss in the suggestion, but it is very releasing that actually the students had positive attitudes towards their experience in ER activities, like what we had seen before, that some many students like, even though There are also some of them who hated the activity, but only very small amount of the students. Okay, the suggestion will be delivered by Abi.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Widi. And okay, so the suggestions for this research and regard to vocabulary learning and extensive reading, the learner should write a vocabulary notebook as a reference to the words they encountered during extensive reading to increase their vocabulary knowledge. And also the teacher can use cognitive strategies like verbal and written repetitions. And teacher should incorporate interesting learning strategies such as graphic form, where the teacher can underline or make a flashcard of the target words, so students will pay more attention towards that specific words. And teacher can make a small group discussions so students are no longer learning in isolations. And for future researchers, they may also include specific questions about ER on the open-ended questions so that we could gather more data in the purpose of having more discussions. And finally, the researcher, they may also run a longer treatment durations to achieve greater and significant results. Okay, that is all, and these are our references. That is all from our presentations. Thank you very much for your attentions, and we are looking forward to the questions and answer sessions.
Thank
Okay.
you, Miss
Good morning,
Gavila
and
and
thank you
Miss
very much for
Vidi.
everyone.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the engaging presentation. We're glad that the student enjoyed the activity and also gained benefits of it. Okay, let's jump to the next presentation.
Luck, Miss Linda.
Thank you, Miss Widi. Wait, I will share screen first. Thank you, Miss Angie, for the time, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's very delighting to be the 8th International Language and Language Teaching Conference 2021. Today, I'm Linda Priani, representing Ms. Vidania Tiarsiwi. We are from University of Muhammadiyah Professor Dr. Hamka, Jakarta, and we would like to share our research entitled Students' Perceptions of Flipped Classroom in Learning Grammar at UHAMKA. Okay, these are the contents, 7 contents in this presentation. Introduction, literature review, methodology, findings and discussion, conclusion, and suggestion. Let's start with the first content, that is introduction. As we have known that grammar has long become a timeless subject to study and teach, that teaching and learning of it has always become a timeless and interesting issue to discuss. And teaching and learning of it has always considered as buggy words because people always associate with errors and correctness when doing that. And therefore, grammar is mostly well known as one of the difficult subjects. So especially for foreign or second language learners. And since the pandemic COVID-19 arises in this world, learning activities change online. And with schools and universities across lots of countries, including Indonesia, both the learners and the teachers are completely struggling. And to really captivate students in online environments, teachers or lecturers must have the strategies to manage the screen time. And conducting flipped classroom is one of the best solutions to this challenge. And it expected to carry on lots of benefits, and however, it has lots of the disadvantages. Okay, there are the disadvantages and advantages of flipped classroom. By using flipped classroom, the process of learning changes to be the student-centered approach, and it allows more time for teacher to check comprehension, answer queries, and clear up any confusion that students may have around a new topic. And also teachers can immediately help students to practice the new material they get, and then students become an active learners because they can be more responsible to developing themselves for learning process. Although it has been recently used that flipped classroom also has some disadvantages. Because flipped classroom, it completely relies on students' preparation for their classes ahead of time. And maybe this method doesn't work at all for either lower students because this model is relies on students' self. And lack of access to the learning materials provided, such as internet and computer that students have at home, can lead to a lack of access to the learning materials provided. But it's not only for students. The time and effort required from a teacher's perspective initially when creating the flipped materials is higher than for a traditional class. So this is the scope of the research with several advantages and disadvantages that I mentioned previously, and considering the current issue, and we attempt to figure out the students' perceptions on 3 activities on implementing flipped classroom. There are before, during, and after virtual meeting. And the objective of the research is to answer the research question of how are the students' perceptions of flipped classroom in learning grammar in private university in Jakarta in 2020 to 2021 academic year. Okay, let's look to the flipped classroom theory. Flipped classroom appeared in 2000s initially when J. Wesley Becker experimented with these same ideas at Cedarfield University in the late 1990s. He presented a paper discussing what he termed the classroom flip at an education conference in the year 2000 in what may be the first published mention with the word flip associated with this model of teaching and learning. And this model is a part of blended learning. According to Johnson, Baker, Estrada, and Freeman 2015, flipped classroom model is a general learning activity which covers blended learning. And according to Armstrong et al. 2014, as a founder of the flipped classroom network, said that flipped classroom is all about creating opportunities for active engagement. And Khairulman 2020 proposes that one of the implications of online learning is conducting flipped classroom that inverts teaching learning activities. So this is the methodology of this study. We used qualitative research to figure out the students' perceptions of flipped classroom, and the participant was the second semester students colleges of English department, and the sample was consisting of 27 freshmen second semester students. This research was conducted online at intermediate English structure class that using flip technique, and we used the two instruments. There are questionnaire and semi-structured interview to collecting the data, and to analyze the data, we use technique based on Miles and Haberman 1984, which involve 3 steps that there are data reduction, data display, and conclusion drawing or verification. As I mentioned before, there are 3 procedures in flipped classroom implementation. This is the questionnaire result of before virtual meeting. In the questionnaire of before virtual meeting, consisted of 5 questions, and from all of the questions, is the percentage reached 78.1 of 100%. It means that students' perceptions who like watching the video lesson before regularly have a positive perception, and students agreed that warm up atau before activities help students to prepare their learning better. And then the questionnaire result of during virtual meeting consisted of 7 questions and reached 73.0% in total. And it means students' perceptions of the flipped classroom approach in grammar were positive. Result after virtual meeting questionnaire consisted of 4 questions and reached 76.9% of 100%. And it means that there was effectiveness of using flipped classroom in learning grammar, and it acknowledged that the flipped classroom approach as a strategy to improve or to develop students' grammar competence. Okay, this is the interview result that we get from the interviews from 5 informants to find out the students' perceptions. And I asked 8 questions to the students and investigated further and confirmed that the data from the interviews resulted in several categories besides students' perceptions. There are the consistency, self-confidence, opinions, and improvement. Also have the differences between from students' opinion. There are some students who prefer choose before virtual meeting, and there is student who like all the session. Okay, the discussion of this study based on the result of the questionnaire and the interview showed that student perception of flipped classroom in learning grammar were positive, and the similar findings were reported in Singai 2020 that where students have positive perception toward the flipped classroom approach, and students preferred choose flipped classroom to traditional classrooms. And then the result of students who like watching the video lesson regularly have a positive perception strongly agree, and similarly to the results obtained by Graham Brand Johnson 2013, that students who like watching the video lesson regularly have a positive perception. Also supported that by Tai Chai T 2014, that students found that it was helpful to have videos before class time or videos before virtual meeting. And then students felt more comfortable and enjoyed when conducting flipped classroom implementation. In the other words, there was effectiveness of using flipped classroom. Also supported the study done by Missildine, Fontaine, Summers, and Gasolin 2013. There was found that the flipped classroom improves students' grammar competencies. So the conclusion of this study is the result revealed that all of the activities of the flipped classroom showed positive perception. It means that the flipped classroom had a good perception. The researcher agree that the flipped classroom has many benefits for students during one semester. Students are given the opportunity to watch videos related to the material before the class, so students can prepare in advance before studying. And then students also have to improve themselves in terms of the commitment to self-study without the presence or guidance of lecturers. Furthermore, students can explore more broadly related to the material that have been studied at home, and students can continue learning in class. Okay, to the data from the interviews resulted in several categories besides students' perceptions. There are the consistency, self-confidence, opinions, and improvement from students. So we suggest that for future researchers to do more identify on several factors in students, that there are the consistency and improvement, also the different perspective or opinion that students have about flipped classroom. Also expected to help the teachers or lecturers to evaluate the use of the flipped classroom in learning grammar. The implementation of flipped model can provide various activities during class and after class to develop students' grammar competence. And the teacher or the lecturers have to give more feedback that has of each assignment that has been done to give the students confidence and motivate in doing other assignments. Okay, that's all of the presentation of our study, and thank you for your attention. Have a good day and stay healthy, everyone.
Thank you, Miss Linda, for the inspiring presentation that shows us how flipped classroom in grammar class had a good perception on the students.
Thank you, Ms.
Okay, yes, thank you. Okay, what about Miss Miza? I think she is not here yet. It seems that Miss Miza is not here without prior notice. Sorry for the inconvenience. Now we will jump to the questions and answer session. I will invite only 3 questions, 1 participant, 1 question. You may use the raise your hand feature or also just type your question on the chat box. Don't forget to mention your name, underscore affiliation, underscore to whom the question is addressed, and then the question. Okay, while waiting for the questions, I have 1 question for Miss Gabriela and Miss Widi. According to the result, you have already mentioned before that there's also a student who is still not interested in reading English if there's no assignment. As a future teacher, I want to ask, what do you think is the most effective way, the tips to make them have interest in doing the extensive reading? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the questions, Ms. Angie. Okay, I would like to answer the questions. There are several ways to attract students' attentions, especially when we're discussing about young learners, because their attention span was like really short. So we have to make sure that we can engage them, especially with reading. We can provide them reading materials that are interesting for them, for their age group, and also another ways could be for us to have this group discussions. So the teacher can make a group discussions that could put 2 or 3 people in one group so they can discuss the book together every week. So it will definitely help attract more attentions and engage them in the reading materials more. Okay, that is all. Maybe Ibu Widi wants to add more.
Okay, thank you, Miss Abby, for the answer, and especially for Miss Angie for the question. As Miss Gabriela had mentioned, it was for how to deal with the class. Yeah, in the class after the students perhaps read the extensive reading material for a week, and then the teacher provides time for the students to discuss. It is all, I think it is also important for us as teachers to provide opportunity for the students before they read. Yeah, so we give the students, what I said, we discuss with the students whether they like reading or not, and then we ask the students to share their experience, especially for those who like readings. And we also discuss with the students what benefits that the students will get if they read a lot. In our case, then this is perhaps to develop or to improve the students' vocabulary knowledge. But more than that, it will also increase the students' knowledge in other fields. It can also be about a value, for example, and then we can ask the students to share their experience or their thought about what benefits they will get from reading outside class, to get pleasure, for example, in addition to reading or in addition to watching videos nowadays. Perhaps the students can also be invited to what is it, together, or to explore further about their hobby or their interest in reading, extensive reading especially. Thank you. Is there any other question?
Thank you, Miss Gabriela and Miss Widi, for the answer. Okay, is there any question? Oh, there already one question from Aditya. Oh, from the host to me. The host asked me that what level of student, oh, it is for Miss Linda. What level of student did you apply for your flipped learning program? Is it elementary or what? Okay. Thank you for the question, Mr. Adit. Miss Linda, can you answer the question?
Okay, thank you for the questions. We applied in the university levels, students university, at the UHAMKA, second semester students that learning grammar.
Is that already answer your question, Mr. Adit? Okay, he said it's already answered. Okay, it seems that there's still no question. I will ask question again. It is for Miss Gabriela and Miss Widi again. I want to ask you whether is there any difficulties teacher faced during implementing the extensive reading? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Angie. Because the implementations of the ER activity itself was online, some of the difficulties that we faced was we could not monitor students' reading progress. So we can provide them reading materials, right? We gave them 2 graded readers, then they can choose which one they prefer to read. But in reality, we cannot really monitor their reading progress. So one students could read like 30 pages in a week, and the other students or maybe only read 2 pages of the book. And I think the most difficult thing during the implementations of online learning, especially for us, extensive reading, is to monitor and discuss more with the students about their learning readiness and also learning progress. Yes. Okay. Maybe Ibu Widi or want to add more?
I think Miss Abril knows more about it.
Okay, thank you.
you.
That is all from us.
Thank you, Miss Gabriela, for the answer. I think there are already 2 questions. First one from Miss Agnes to Miss Linda. Would you share your experience in doing the project, and after doing it, how do you feel? Thank you, Miss Agnes, for the question. Miss Linda, could you please answer the question, please?
Okay, thank you, Miss Agnes, for the questions. Actually, I just during the research that I did in one of the classes where the lecturer applied flipped classroom model. So I just doing the research to find out the students' perceptions. So I feel have more interested with the class of the flipped classroom. So I'm very interested to doing that when I'm to be to the teacher. Okay, that's enough.
Is that already answer your question, Miss Agnes? Hello, Miss Agnes. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
The next question is from Miss Mita for Miss Gabriela and Miss Widi. Can we use children's book for EYLs activities? Thank you, Miss Mita, for the question. Miss Gabriela and Miss Widi, the time is yours.
Can you please repeat the questions again?
Okay, so can we use children's book children's book for the ER activities?
Yes, because the participants were the age of 9 to 11 years old. Of course, children book would be the most suitable one. But of course, we also find out more the suitable reading materials according to CEFR on the graded readers foundations list. So we found one that is suitable for our students to read, especially with their age 9 to 11 years old. And we chose something that is suitable for girl and boy. So they can choose between those graded readers which one is more interesting for them. Yes. Yes, that is all from us.
Miss
Thank
Angie,
you.
I think Miss Miza is there.
Yes,
Miss
I'm
Miza
here.
is here. Hello,
Thank you for
Miss
the
Miza.
answer.
Thank you for the answer, Miss Gabriela. Hello, Miss Miza. Can you hear my voice? Miss Miza, I think you're still muted.
Yes, still muted.
Miss Miza, can you unmute your microphone, please?
Yes, I don't know. I cannot use this background because it is something problem in my background in my Zoom. Yeah.
Okay, it's okay, Miss. Can you share your screen?
Share screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Miss, we will give you 10 minutes for the presentation. Okay, without any further ado, let's start with Miss Miza's presentation entitled
Presentation.
The Implementation of Vocabulary-Based Method in Teaching English for Junior High School Students, Grade 10 to 12, a case study in Universal Language Center course. It will be delivered by Miss Miza Rahmatika Aini from Universitas Islam Balitar.
Okay.
Miss Miza, you have 10 minutes. The time is yours.
Okay. The one thing that I need to share here because I found some problems in teaching English for junior high school students because I have a course, a universal language course, and they even do not understand the part of speech, the vocabulary itself. So most of the students cannot differ between which is the verb, which is the noun, which is the adjective, which is the adverb, and they cannot even use the noun or the words into the sentences. They only do the LKS. They only do what the teachers said, and they do not understand what is English even. So I feel pity of them. So I made in my course, I made some, what's it called, method. In my course, this is based on the vocabulary. It also implemented in the organization. I also become a supervisor in one of organization in my city, and I forced them to use the vocabulary that they have to know. They must know the vocabulary and the part of speech and the, what's it called, just like they know the function of the vocabulary itself. So in here, because of my pittiness of them, yes, I just want to discuss about the implementation of vocabulary based method in teaching English for junior high school students grade 10 and 11, a case study in Universal Language Center. So what's the importance of vocabulary? The important things of vocabulary knowledge is often viewed as a critical tool for second language learners. This is a critical tool because a limited vocabulary in second language impedes successful communication. Because without vocabulary, they cannot communicate well. They will fail to communicate each other. This is the problem. Also, this is the students also have the problems like this. Yeah, in my university, students also have a problem like this. Me also, maybe lack of vocabulary make us lack of vocabulary. We are not successful of communication like this. So underscoring the importance of vocabulary acquisition, Smith 2000 emphasized that lexical knowledge is central to communicate competence and to the acquisition of a second language. This is a lexical knowledge. In Blitar City, I found the problems that they even don't know the lexical knowledge of English. They just do the LKS and they just do what the teacher do. Then that's why from the elementary school until junior high school they don't have any progress in English. If it is not any courses, there's no progress in English because the lexical knowledge, they don't have any lexical knowledge. They don't have, and they don't know about the structure of the language. So my students, I force my students to know about the, for example, subject, verb, and object. When we use a noun as a subject, when we use verb as a predicate, when we use when they have to be disciplined. Yeah, when we use to be for the adjective or adverb, nominal or sentence, they have to be very disciplined of this because it is the foundation to the students to speak, to write, to know the tenses also. So I think the vocabulary is very important. So the literature review, vocabulary can be defined as the words of language including single items and phrases or chunks of several words which convey a particular meaning the way individual words do. So vocabulary can be defined as the words of language. This is a very single item or phrases. So from vocabulary, we go to the phrases and we go to the sentences. In a nutshell, vocabulary is important because it's the basis of all language. Vocabulary is the basis of all language. In every language, it's the raw building blocks that we can use to express our thoughts and ideas, share information, understand others, and grow personal relationship. It's the very important of vocabulary. When you have a wider vocabulary in your target language, it also helps support all 4 language skills. That's the impact of vocabulary: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So the one point is the vocabulary itself. Yeah, as Paul Nation to 2015, not in his paper on vocabulary learning, vocabulary is not an end itself. A rich vocabulary makes the skills of listening, speaking, reading, and writing easier to perform. Yes, this is the key, is the vocabulary. So my method is only 5 students. The sample was randomly and the diverse observation and analyze using descriptive qualitative method. So I I give the questions, I give the test to the students, and then 5 students are not able in memorizing vocabulary. They have lack vocabulary, and then so I use the method by drawing. They have to draw the vocabulary, and then they match the vocabulary into the drawing. For example, I cannot insert it in here, yeah. The way I treat the students, yeah. So I ask them to draw the vocabulary. So between drawing, we don't have to memorize, yeah. We don't have to memorize all every day is 5 sentences. No, just by drawing, because this is a psychomotoric. Yeah, I consider this. So they have to know the position of the sentence structure. This is the foundation. Some people doesn't know the position of sentence structure. So even in the junior high school, they cannot use the sentences. They fail to make the sentence. It is very difficult for them to make the sentence and to speak in English because they don't know the sentence structure. So in my course, I force them to know, and I just make them to understand how to use in the sentence structure. Where's the subject, where's the predicates, where's the object. We have to be disciplined of this. So memorizing words using picture. While they are drawing picture, they memorize words. So by drawing a picture, they can. So this is the problem, yeah, for junior high school students and elementary school students. The material is hard, but we have to be, fun, yeah. It's very the problem is like this, yeah. We have to be fun. We have to create the material, and they can absorb the material without any burden. That's the way, yeah. So knowing the position of part of speech, this is the key, and implement it into sentence that is structured. No. Okay. Sorry. Yes, this is the end of my presentation. This is very simple, but I think it's important because this is only my problem in my city. Okay. Thank you very much for joining in my presentations. I'm sorry if I'm mistaken. Thank you all. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Miss Miza, for the presentations. Let's now just directly go to the Q&A session for Miss Miza. I see that there are already one question from Miss Widi to Miss Miza. You
Yes.
said that you force your students to use appropriate grammar. How did you force your students to use English in your class? Why did you do that? And what are the results? Thank you, Miss
Yes.
Widi, for the questions. Miss Miza, the time is yours.
This is the problem, yeah. They scream, yeah. They scream. Miss Miza don't use English in this class. It is very hard. That's why. So I am become the killer. I'm sorry in speaking in bahasa. Predikat saya adalah guru dosen yang paling killer, ya, paling kejam. Karena because they don't want to be, to be very hard, pushing hard. They feel I'm sorry in speaking bahasa, mereka mundur. When I push them, when I force them to speak in English, so they go away. This is my problem, still a problem in my city, because they think that study is not like a very hard to study, very hard to pushing ourselves. No, they just copy paste, yeah. That's the problem. So I am the very killer teachers in my university. That's no problem. Doesn't matter. Okay, that's my answer.
May I say something, Miss Angie?
Sure, Miss Vidi.
Yeah, thank you very much, Miss Miza. Oh, you are not killer. Actually, you are a great teacher. You want your students to be excel, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But I think if we remember what Pa Willie stated this morning about persuading students, that is not forcing, but persuade the students by giving actually the English is not difficult, English is easy, let's do it together, like what you said before, that it will be interesting to discuss, and so on and so forth. I think your students will not be discouraged anymore,
Yes.
yeah? Because actually you are a very very teacher. Okay, for the answers and thank you for the opportunity, Miss Angie.
Thank you, Miss Vidi and Miss Miza. Oh, there are one question again from Miss Nivita to Miss Miza again. What does your study suggest? Thank you for the question, Miss Nivita. Miss Miza, you can answer the question.
I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. I cannot hear it clearly.
The question is, so what does your study suggest? Thank you.
What does your study suggest? I think. What does it mean? Study suggest?
About the results of your study.
Oh, I see. The result of my studies, they can yes, slowly. I did not measure this by numerical, but uh, the method is persuasive thing, yeah, by using drawing and song. I can persuade the students I can persuade the student to study English, to know about the sentence structure. This is very very difficult for me to persuade the students by using drawing and song. That's why. And they can memorize. They uh in the very beginning, they do not like, they refuse my method, and then after I use drawing and then song, they accept the way I teach them. So the result is they can memorize the words without any memorizing. Maybe one day 5 words, one day 10 words. No, just by drawing and song.
Is that already answer your question, Miss Nivita? Hello? Okay. Okay, I think this is the end of parallel session 3. Miss Miza, could you please stop share the screen?
Okay.
Okay, thank you everyone. But before we close this parallel session, let us take picture together. And for those who haven't turned on the camera, please turn it on so that I can see your handsome and beautiful faces. Okay, thank you. I'll wait for the others. Okay. Okay, operator, can you help me to take the picture? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, this is the last parallel session of room 6. If you want to join another parallel session, you can click on either the link of room 1, 3, 4, or 5. The exit ticket will be given at main room. We'll proceed with our 5th keynote speeches from Dr. Kosakas Tuhandani at 2 p.m. Thanks for coming. That's all from me. Enjoy the rest of the conference. See you.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
everyone.
Angie.
Stay safe, stay healthy and happy.
Goodbye.
Bless
Okay,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Sudah ambil? Iya. Ya. Yuk, oke, oke.